DIY.
DIYers, I've been paying attention to a lot of these streaming platforms and seeing what they're doing very silently, very subtly in reaction to this Living Wage for Musicians Act going past the first level. New York City backs plans for music streaming price to increase to 1 penny, not 0.003 cents, which is a fraction of a penny, in order to pay artists a living wage. It says the Living Wage for Musicians Act aims to give artists fair pay directly from music streaming. New York City takes a stand for artist pay. In New York City, which is one of the hardest places, which is why this has good signs for, getting pretty far, they have backed plans that could revolutionize how musicians are paid in the streaming era. I'm wondering how nervous they may be. I'm wondering if they're doing anything reactionary at all, or if they're just looking at it and saying by the time it reaches the president, there's no way in hell that we'll have to shell out a penny per stream. Something happened at Spotify today that I think is worth you scratching your chin. Spotify should remove the public display of listener counts and streams. This was a statement made by independent juggernaut Russ. He says, it's a catalyst for unhealthy comparisons. It creates misleading metrics like monthly listeners and incentivizes people to cheat so that they can inflate the perception of popularity. Hiding the numbers would reduce the pressure to compete on inauthentic metrics and encourage a focus on the music itself. Look at Apple Music. There are zero convos about how music is performing on there if streams are fake, because you don't know. LMAO, as it should be. It's nobody's business how the music is performing outside of the artist and their team. We live in a weird time where everyone feels entitled to know everybody's business because of social media. I get it though. From Spotify's perspective, having the numbers public makes it a sport, which in turn drives engagement, etc., etc. I think he made a lot of valid points. One of those being how self-serving one could say that Spotify putting those numbers front and center on your page. You may think that it's a flex for you to tell people you have this many monthly listeners. But when it comes to Spotify, they're able to kind of like show their muscle to other streaming platforms by saying, look at how many collective subscribers we have that are able to be monthly listeners for all these artists. For them, it's a little bit of posturing. For them, it's their opportunity to show off how much of the market that they're dominating. But for a lot of artists, as he so well put, it's discouraging, right? They get into a place where they feel like they have to compete over metrics that, in the grand scheme of things, matter to you in your business if you're tracking your metrics. But in terms of how you approach your art, in terms of how much of your art you put out, it really shouldn't be a public discourse. And I very much agree with that, because I feel like it turns fans into execs, bad execs, worse execs, terrible A&Rs who are telling you where an artist is at in their career creatively based upon metrics that 30 years ago they didn't give a damn about. With that said, though, Spotify did something really, really interesting. It seems that Spotify possibly listened to the suggestion that Russ gave them. And it says, Spotify is removing monthly listeners from the top of the profile to the bottom in the About section. Is this a win or a loss? What do you think? You think this is a win or a loss for artists? Hey, yo, DIYer, if you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps this video and this channel get discovered by new people. I appreciate you. Now back to the video. Let's get into some more details. So instead of going to a Spotify profile, it should show up today. What's going to happen is that instead of you seeing the artist's name and the avatar that they've uploaded and the follow button, you're not going to see the number of listeners, monthly listeners, so prominently put at the top. Here it's showing some of the most streamed artists on the platform, and it's been moved, right? Now, the place that it got moved is actually at the bottom. So here's like a little video kind of showing you. You got to go past all of this. And then you see the monthly listeners at the bottom. Now, some people may categorize this move as being very pro artist, right? Spotify is giving the artists what they've been asking for. I got questions though. why would Spotify give the artists what they want at this stage? What will be the benefit of it? I think one way to look at this is perhaps they're getting ready to release the real hammer that's going to piss artists off again, right? They're getting ready to release the larger hammer that has more so to do with this Living Wage for Musicians Act that was presented to New York City Council, that was passed and moved along now to the bigger dogs in the president and Congress, and it will be voted on. And if they approve it, that means that these platforms will have to, I said have to, shell out a penny per stream to their users. I can only imagine going from only having to pay artists 0.003, a fraction of a penny, to going and having to pay a penny out of your pockets. Plus, there's other royalties that are attached to it that we're still getting more details on. But if your business goes from that, for a lot of distributors that are not the level of an Apple Music or Spotify, it could very well put you out of business. Especially if you ain't been doing business right to begin with. But for Spotify, I look at that and I say, could this be an attempt to give artists a little bit of what they want before they really start making moves that are going to put the artists at such a disadvantage if and let's say when the penny per stream actually passes? It's gaining a lot of steam, a lot of conversation. I don't know the likelihood that it's going to happen, but it is gaining a lot of conversation. And like I said, I'm watching these streaming platforms to see if it's something that they themselves are preparing for. And it seems like a move like this, as minor as it is, maybe I'm reaching, but as minor as it is, it seems like one pro artist move that may be coming into a collection of moves, right? Some other features that you have been asking for, not enhanced AI, not moving pictures in a profile picture or cover art, not more AI based designs. No. We've been asking for is for the opportunity to get the data from our customers, to be able to keep up with them offline, because after all, they did become a listener of our profile, all that good stuff. No, they're not doing those things quite yet. So I wonder what that does. I think one thing that we definitely have to keep in mind is that if they have to pay out more, they're going to somehow charge more. If they have to charge more in terms of subscribers, please believe that they are going to now cut even deeper in the direction they did when they started doing those. What is it? You have to get 1,000 annual streams before you can start getting paid for a particular piece of music on their platform. You have to get 1,000 streams a year. You have to get at least 1,000 streams in a calendar year before they start paying you. Yes. So I can only speculate how much in that direction they'll go, how much more exaggerated it'll be. But I'm paying attention. I'm looking around and I'm really, really curious as to how they are maneuvering and how other platforms are maneuvering. But I thought it was a really interesting move. This is my guess. What do you think it could be, DIYers? Leave it down below in the comments. I'm very curious to see your thoughts, because I feel like we may be getting a few moves up their sleeves that people will be like, yeah, they do care about the artists, only for this hammer to come down and be like, oh, shit. Here we go again. Those are my thoughts, DIYers. You let me know what you think. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Don't be greedy. Peace.